I actually started life as a very poor scholar, Colombo Plan scholar. And that was the only way to climb the ladder, so to speak. And I think after university, I had to serve my bond, which I did in the 70s with the Economic Development Board, which was a very dynamic stat board in charge of the whole planning of Singapore's economic development. I think I enjoyed my 2.5 years there, looking after US investments coming into Singapore. But the urge to be an entrepreneur was very strong, so I thought, well, if I continue at EDB, I probably end up almost like a lifelong civil servant, which I didn't quite fancy, to be honest. So the lure of the private sector was very strong, and so I left in 1978-79. And it was a good time for me to get first into the financial service sector, which I did. Initially by starting as a remisier with Kim Eng Securities. And after about a year, 2 years, I went into institutional stockbroking by becoming a director of Vickers da Costa, which was one of the first foreign stockbroking firms to have an operation in Singapore. And when I became a director of Vickers, I spent a lot of time traveling to Europe, especially London, where we were HQ. And that's where my interest in art got started, because normally after a week of visiting clients and trying to sell Singapore equities, I would normally have a weekend for myself, and I ended up visiting a lot of museums and art galleries, and just soaking in the culture and the arts there. And that's where I started looking at buying art. So one thing led to another, and then before you know it, you've started a small collection. After I became a stockbroker at Vickers, that was 1982 to 87. Then 88, 89, I made the switch and became a fund manager. So I started fofa.asia, which was the Asian arm of the fund management company, fofa in London. The fund that we started, called the SilverStreak fund, which was a fund that invests only in the second board at that time, SilverStreak. Now, of course, it's called the Catalyst. We became the most best performing fund in 1993, as measured by Micropal, because even though it was a bull market in 1993, I think we returned about 250%, in that year alone. So the performance of that fund was exceptional. But due to a lot of issues with fofa London, I decided to leave the company and became an entrepreneur by taking a major stake in a listed book publisher in 1993-94 called Pan Pacific Public Company, which publishes textbooks in Singapore, Malaysia and Hong Kong. And that was a pretty successful company. So I basically bought a big stake from the founder, whose family, meaning his siblings, his mother, they wanted to cash out. So I bought the stake and owned about, I think, 22% of the company and became the managing director for about 3 years. After which I switched my shares from Pan Pacific public and then took a big stake in an unlisted magazine publishing company called Pan Pac Media, which eventually became the largest independent magazine publisher in Singapore and Malaysia. We had something like almost 30 different titles in English, Chinese, and Malay. And I think we listed the company in late 1998 on the SilverStreak board. And I was the vice chairman, and together with the chairman, we were the biggest shareholder. Then there was a CEO who was, running it. And we listed it at 18 cents on the main board, and we raised only about $3 million, which was peanuts, and the whole company was valued at, I think, not more than 30 million. But of course, we rode the dot-com boom, if you recall. So in the year 2000, when there was a lot of excitement over .com, our share price ran all the way up to about 250 from about 18 cents at the IPO, so that was a very good run. And I was quite lucky because, we were raising money from other .com companies. I met Jerry Yang, from Yahoo, hosted him to dinner at Boat Quay, and at that time there was a lot of market speculation about Yahoo either taking a stake in us or doing some deals with us. But that did not come about. In the end, I think Yahoo took a stake in Alibaba instead, which was one of their best investments ever. Yes, so my shares went up to 250. I did not sell a single share. I had about 60 million shares as one of the largest shareholders. But when the price went down to about, I think, 110, I sold a few million shares together with my chairman and my CEO. And eventually, when I exited from the company completely in 2003, the share price have dropped down to 8 cents. So I sold the bulk of my holdings, about 46 million shares at 8 cents, which was, well, today the share price is less than a cent.
Why didn't you sell it earlier?
Good question. To be honest, I was quite captivated by Jerry Yang, because when I met with him in late 1990s, after his IPO, his company and so on, he was I don't know, a 28-year-old kid, very casually dressed. And when we had dinner, I looked at him, and his net worth at that time was easily 4 to 5 billion. And Yahoo was probably one of the biggest .com companies then, much bigger than even Amazon, right? So I was saying, my God, this young punk is valued at 5B, and I'm only worth 100 million, right, based on my share price. So I think I've got some way to go, or my share price has got some way to go. So I said, okay, I'll hold on to it and just see where the market takes us, so to speak. Yeah, so, well, as Frank Sinatra would say, regrets I have a few.
But you did it your way, huh?
But I did it my way.